Life. Life is a monologue. We see it through different eyes, but we all look at it for exactly what it is. A lifetime. A grand expanse of emotions and experiences, people and places, decisions and consequences, risks and rewards. And we feel these things thoroughly. They pain us and they inspire us. As short as a blip or as long as a century, they make us who we are. And they make it all worth living. I think about the things I've done, the people I've known, my family, my friends, second grade class, my teacher, first friends I ever made. And I strain my memory to try to remember their names or what they look like. It's silly, but it's maddening. Trying to recall this vague, indistinct blur of faces of people at one time, to me, quite important, but now completely forgotten. I think about how our minds betray us. They don't allow us to hold on to what we want to when we want to. They fill up and they force us to choose what we hold on to in our memory. And some things they don't let go of at all, no matter how unwanted or how painful. I think about the first time I saw the beach, about my first vacation with my parents and siblings. I think about the warmth of the sunlight and the breeze, the faint smell of salt in the air, the euphoria of childhood. My mind rushes through these things like a photo album. I think about my own mortality, about how I'm older now than my dad was then, about the passage of time, how quick it is, as fast and forgotten as a camera flash, but as lasting as the photo that it creates. I think about middle school, high school, college, the decisions I made, the people I met, my best friend, my girlfriend, my mentors. I think about the times I spent with them, those moments, the good times, the bad times. I think about my successes with a grand sense of pride. I think about the past with fondness and positivity. I think about what once was and what could have been. I think about my regrets, about fear and inaction, about the times I didn't have the courage to speak up, and the times when I had the audacity to when I shouldn't have said anything at all. I think about the ripple of missed opportunity. Watching that ring crinkle over everything. And my stomach churns with an indescribable pain, a knot that only nostalgia can create. My throat goes coarse and strained with a lump that we all know too well. I think about people who passed me by, people I let go, people I didn't try hard enough to keep, and the people I worked at didn't have the power to hold on to. I think about how powerless we all are sometimes, helpless and hopeless. I look to my friends. They graduate, they get married, they have kids, they're pursuing their goals. and I feel small and unimportant and unaccomplished. I think about my failures. I try to tell myself they're unavoidable. Say, I'll get them next time. I say that this excuse did this, that excuse did that things weren't as bad as it seems like, even if they weren't all that good either. I compare myself to the people around me, measure myself by that, try to remember the times when I felt like I had to jump on everybody, when I felt like I had everything to myself, when I was on top. And then I remember that it's all a matter of perspective. I think about her, and about how I lost her before I could even have her. About the imagined situations and events that we could have shared together but never did. About the concocted joys that I drew in my mind and the reality together that I envisioned, and fantasies that never came true. I think about my fears and anxieties that held me back, and how frivolous, how ridiculous they seem now. I think about how thought crippled me. I think about the days and weeks, months that passed in inaction, how she slipped through my fingers before I could even grasp, how I lost the opportunity before I even knew it was there, how I was blind to it all. I reflect on what I could have done differently, where I could have gone left, where I went right, pushed forward instead of stepping back. I try to compare my mistakes and misfires to my successes and try to convince myself that I could have done something more. That if time were reversed somehow, I could have changed things, could have made a different outcome, that things could have been different somehow. And that's what we do. We think about these things, and we think one of two things. One, we could change things, that we could go back and somehow have the power to be stronger, to be better. Or we think that there was nothing we could have done in the first place. That our fate was sealed from the beginning, that the unbridled power of the universe was always destined to land us exactly where we are. But the bittersweet truth is that life, like all things, is not as simple as right or wrong. Or this or that. It's not a calculation of dark and light, yes and no. It's ambiguous. It's a grand mystery. And there's a just decision, sure, but there's no right answer to all of it. It's a chess game of confusion. It's a mess that we just try to sort out and make the best of. And if we're lucky, sometimes we're able to make some sense of it all. We live and breathe these things like a passage from a great book. The peaks and troughs throughout the epic story that we all tell. It's a lived-in novella packed with tragedy and uplift, fear and bravery, hope and hopelessness. It's a dense prose that's rewarding and has a conclusive end to it all. We speak these things and read them out like a grand performance in front of a large crowd for the first time with hesitancy. We stumble along the way. We try to find our footing. It's a tale our voices stutter and quiver at relaying with initial uncertainty, thrust in the spotlight. It's rough. It's hard to perform. It's more difficult to sit in the theater of the mind and experience. It's an uncomfortable affair, to be sure, but it's a fantastically unique and unforgettable one nonetheless. It's important. It's meaningful. It's our purpose. And it's a purpose of grand design that ultimately ends in hope. Life is a monologue that we don't want to listen to, but all need to hear.